Hey mama, welcome to the One Income Family Podcast. Today we are diving into what I believe is one of the most important things you need to be doing in order to make it financially on one income. And that, my friend, is planning. I know it takes time, and unless you're like me and love to strategize and create a plan, because I totally love to do that, it's not very fun for you, right? But it is extremely important. You are going to learn how embracing planning will change your finances, will help you stick to your budget, and will get you one step closer to your goals, because that is the ultimate goal, right? So grab your favorite drink and head outside for some fresh air, because it is so nice outside. And let's head into today's episode. Do you find it hard to save or get out of debt? Are you constantly searching for ways to save money and live on a budget? Do you have big dreams only to be stopped by not sticking to your budget? Are you ready for financial freedom? Then you, mama, are in the right place. Welcome to the One Income Family Podcast, where you will learn what it looks like to budget on one income, how to partner with God in your finances, how to budget in a way that's easy to stick to, and how to cut costs and save money, all so that you can start building wealth. It is my mission to equip you with these tools so that you can live in abundance regardless of the amount in your account. Hey, I'm Molly, a budget coach for stay-at-home moms, and I know what it's like to struggle on one income. I've lived paycheck to paycheck, relied on being frugal, and failed many budgets until I learned how to budget without tracking. This has allowed my family to pay off debt and build wealth all on one income. So, if you are ready for financial freedom, then go grab that stroller, plug in those headphones, and let's get to it. Alrighty, so before we jump into today's episode, I just want to invite you to grab yourself a budget coaching session. You are here listening to this podcast because you're struggling to stick to your budget. And I want you to know that there's absolutely no shame in that. But you don't have to stay stuck. Instead of being in that stuck feeling in the continuous cycle of budgeting just to get rid of it because you're not actually going to follow what you've written down, right? I want to challenge you to break that. I want to challenge you to take your first step towards financial success by grabbing a budget coaching session. This is where you can learn why you're struggling to stick to your budget, why you fill it out and then don't follow it. Like, what is keeping you from liking what you're filling out, right? Is it because somebody else told you the numbers that you should use or the categories that you should use? Is it because it's not something that you truly desire? What is the disconnect? We will figure that out, and we will create systems for it. We will fill in a budget that is actually going to bring you success because you enjoy it and you look forward to it, right? That is how you stick to any and everything that you do in life, is you have to want to do it. You have to have the joy and the excitement to go out to do it. And that is what I want for you. We will help create systems that are going to make budgeting simple and easy to stick to. So all you have to do is go to calendly.com/Molly Bunnell and see if this is what you have been looking for. Again, you can go to calendly.com/Molly Bunnell. That's calendly.com/Molly with a Y, B as in boy, ENELL. Alrighty, so I want to start by looking in the Bible and seeing what the Bible says about planning. So I have a verse that I really like that I'm going to share with you, and that is Proverbs 21:5. And it is as simple and plain as this: the plans of the diligent lead to profit, as sure as haste leads to poverty. So essentially what that's saying is by planning and working hard, you prosper. But when you take shortcuts and you're hasty and you're trying to get there as fast as you possibly can, that's where poverty comes from. Like, that quick get rich quick scheme is not going to last. You haven't learned the lessons that you need in order to achieve full prosperity for a long period of time, right? Like you get overwhelmed, and this is not something that you actually want to achieve. So that is why the Lord says that planning and hard work and like going through all the hard things that it takes to actually reach prosperity is how you get to prosperity, because you are taking the time to work through the mindset struggles, to work through the mental, I just said mental, to work through the physical struggles, to work through, the friendship and relationship struggles and everything, the financial struggles that come with it. That is where you actually prosper, is when you learn the lessons that it takes in each step to get one step closer to prosperity. When you try to just get there quickly, overwhelm, defeat, stress, that is what comes with prosperity when you get there quickly and you just burn out and you're done with it. So find a way to start planning and working hard to reach the prosperity that you desire, the prosperity that God desires for you, so that you can actually be there. Because if you want to prosper, you have to plan. You have to follow that plan and work hard for the things that you want. This world, it pushes us to be selfish. It pushes us to be lazy. And life, compared to the way it used to be, is like so much easier than what it used to be, and we take that for granted. So if you want to succeed in life, in finances, in whatever you are striving to do, you must plan and work hard to achieve that plan. You must learn every lesson in each step along the way and not give up through the hard. Setting a goal is one thing. It's a whole different ball game when you bring that goal into reality by creating a plan and taking action to achieve that plan. Notice I didn't say goal. You're achieving the plan, not the goal. And you're achieving each step in the plan. Again, not the overall goal. You're doing one small step at a time. And by celebrating those small steps, that's what keeps pushing you forward. Instead of like focusing on the end goal, you focus on the next step of the plan. And that is how you get moved forward. That is how you succeed. That is how you push through the hard, learn the lessons, and get to stay in that prosperity level because you took the time to reach that level the right way instead of through haste, which leads to poverty. Okay, so now that I'm off that little soapbox, I want to share with you why I believe it's important to be a planner when living on one income. Because essentially, going in with a plan, it keeps you organized, it keeps you on track, it keeps you focused. Going in with a plan helps you to know what you need to do and how you're going to do it. It keeps you from wasting your time, from wasting your money, wasting your space, like both your mental and your physical space, and it keeps you from wasting your energy. How many of you have gone shopping for something not to find it? You went in with this, let's just go look. And that's a mentality that you went into the plan. It really wasn't a plan. You're just like, yeah, we're just going to go look. We're going to go see what they have, which is totally fine. Don't get me wrong. There are moments for that. But when you go into a store with that kind of mentality, what happens? Do you actually get the thing that you're wanting to get? Or do you get that thing plus 20 other things that you really didn't need or you really didn't want? That is how it works. Like if you don't have a plan, nothing of actual sense, nothing makes sense, essentially is what I'm trying to say. It is just you go in, you buy, you do whatever you think you need to do. And when you come out with things that maybe you already have them. Maybe they don't go together with what you already have. Maybe it is something that you are like, yeah, I really don't actually like that, but I bought it. That is what happens when you go in without a plan. That is what happens when you go in with the mentality of let's just go and take a look. there's one thing if you're just going to go look through the store, if it's new and you want to see what's going on, but it's a total different ball game when you actually go into the store, when you're trying to find a specific item and you go on with a let's just look mentality. Like you don't actually achieve your plan. You don't reach the goal. You just end up with all this random stuff that makes no sense and is just going to clutter your house and not something you actually enjoy, right? So going in without a plan, it creates the results essentially that you don't want. Unless you have self-control, not many people do, and even those who do fall to temptation, you're not going to actually reach your desired goal because what you're doing when you go in without a plan is you're breeding the results that you don't want. You're creating that reality because that is what you're used to doing. You're used to going in without a plan. You're used to just doing whatever and getting whatever, but that's not achieving your end goal. It's not keeping you from maybe overspending. It's not keeping you from buying things that you already have or that don't go together. It's keeping you in what you're already used to doing. So when you create a plan, it breaks those habits. It makes you think twice. Yeah, maybe it takes a little bit more time learning a new system, learning a new schedule or routine that you're trying to embrace. But in the end, it's going to bring you one step closer to that end goal. And that is what you want. So how does planning affect your finances? So essentially, like I've already said, it keeps you focused. It helps you to reach your financial goals. It keeps you from overspending. You hear there's a lot of recurring topics that I'm touching on here, right? And I really hope that you get that because that is the important thing. Planning is so important. It keeps you from wasting your time and your energy. But most importantly, in your finances, it keeps you on budget. Now, your budget, it's a plan of how you're going to spend your money. But planning how you're going to spend the money that you have allocated in each category is how you are going to stick to your budget. Okay, I'm going to repeat that. Your budget, it's a plan of how you're spending your money. And here's the part that I want you to write down. If you have a pen and paper, write it down. Planning how you're going to spend the money you have allocated in each category is how you are going to stick to your budget. That is the most important piece here. Your biggest overall goal, yes, it's to be able to achieve your financial goals. But how do you achieve your financial goals? By sticking to your budget. How do you stick to your budget? You create a plan for the money you have allocated in each category. That is how you do it. Then you create systems and habits around it, right? But the most important thing is the planning piece. Figuring out how you're going to spend that money, where you're going to spend it, and what you're going to spend it on is going to keep you on budget more than anything else. And if you focus on that, and that's the only thing you get from listening to any of my episodes, then I pray that this is the one that you really ingest and you take from it so that you can really just create a life on one income that is joyful, that's exciting, that you want to be on, and you're not stressing over your finances. Planning is going to get you out of the overwhelm, out of the burnout when it comes to finances, because that is a real thing. There have been many times where I'm like, I just don't want to deal with my money. I don't want to see it. I don't want to look at it, but I know I need to. And so when you have a plan, when you sit down and you do these things, it keeps your goals at front of your mind because you're able to know that the steps you're taking are going to get you one step closer to that ultimate end goal. Okay. So How do you plan? And I know this is a simple thing and it's quite common, and you're going to be like, yeah, I know I don't need to be told this stuff, but sometimes the simple things are the hardest things to remember, right? So I'm just going to go over how to plan, right? Because planning, it's your best friend on one income. So it's as simple as setting a goal. What is your goal? When we look at our categories, we've got spending categories. Maybe you look at your whole budget and you have a goal of like you want to spend only a certain percentage on your bills and a certain percentage on your spending and your savings. Maybe that's your goal. Maybe we dive down a little bit deeper and we solve that problem, or we try to figure out how to spend only that certain percentage, say in your grocery area. How do you do that? So you dig a little bit deeper and you plan and you say, okay, I'm going to grocery shop every 2 weeks, like Molly suggested, or I'm going to bulk buy my groceries every month and not have to worry about buying them every single week, because that's going to help me stay out of the grocery store. It's going to help me keep from buying those things in the moment because I'm not seeing it. It's going to help me be able to have the food I need without being like stressed out whether there's going to be food or not, right? So there are so many ways as to how you can do it, but then you go a little bit deeper and you say, okay, I'm going to buy from this store. I'm going to buy on this day. Now, you don't have to get that super specific. You can if you want, but it's when you get that specific, when you allow yourself to dig into the details and fine tune, that's the word I'm looking for, the nitty gritty details, that is how you're able to stay on track. But it does sometimes make you feel restricted. So don't do it all the time. Definitely still have your free, go with the flow kind of areas, but have a plan for the most important parts of your budget in your budgeting area. When you go shopping for clothes, make sure you know what clothes you have in your closet already so that you don't buy something that you really like but have nothing to wear with, right? Like a pair of shoes. Maybe you wanted some really cool red shoes, but you got nothing to wear with red shoes, right? Now I know there's lots of options that you can pick from, but it's just, you get what I'm saying. If it doesn't match, you're not going to wear them, or you're going to go out and buy something else to wear with them, right? So you're spending more money in the long run. So know what you have so that when you go out, it can match or it can complement. All right. So let's get back to how to plan, right? So set your goal, figure out what your goal is. Write out the steps that it takes to reach that goal so that you know what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. I really love this example in clothes. That's why I always bring up the clothes, but it works in every area. Maybe you want to get nitty gritty like that with your prescriptions. I don't know. There's lots of ways that you can do it, but you get what I'm saying. Like, if you are able to set a goal, if you're able to know how you're going to get there, especially when you're like struggling, because like in finances, it can take a really long time to reach your financial goals, right? Because you only get so much money each and every month. And so it takes a long time to reach like debt, getting that all paid off, or saving up for something. And so when you make a plan on how you're going to get there, every step you take, you can celebrate that step that you've taken. And it makes it so much easier, and it feels like you're celebrating the whole way through because you're staying excited and motivated. Like, that is another reason why planning is so good, because you're not focused on the end goal. You're focused on the next step, because the next step is the important part in order to get you to the end goal. Okay, so then after you've planned it all out, commit it to God. Give it to Him. Say, Lord, take this plan. This is the steps that I think it's going to take in order to reach the goal that I'm wanting to reach. Ask Him to bless it. Ask Him to take it and form it and shape it to achieve His overall plans. Like, if there is a step that is out of place, Ask him to rearrange it so that it actually is going to get you to his desired goal, but also maybe reach yours. Sometimes, though, you don't actually reach your goal because his goal is better than yours, right? So that is why it's so important to not focus on that end goal, but to focus on the journey. Focus on the next step to get you where you want to go, because God may change your course. You may change your course. The end goal may change, but the steps you are taking will stay the same. So that is why it's so important to commit it to him and to ask him to change it and to ask him to facilitate a path that's actually going to reach true happiness, to reach his joy and his peace, to bless him and to bless your life through him, right? So commit it to him and then start taking action. And I know I've talked about this on an episode before, but I really want to hit on the fact that even if God hasn't said that you need to change something around or that something isn't right or that you need to add something in, still take that action. He will change your steps. He will pause your direction. He will change your path when and if the time comes. But you have to start taking that action, because faith without action is dead. I need to write that verse down so I can quote or give you the actual location in the Bible that that's in. But faith without action is dead. So after you have given him your plan, start following it and then keep your ears open. Let him guide you along the way. Don't just be like, okay, here's my plan. Change it right now so that I know that I've done something right or wrong. It kind of brings out that whole student-teacher mentality. No. Think of it more as like apprenticeship, more as in like when you're teaching your children. They know the steps they have to take. They make a plan and you just guide them. You say, okay, well, that step's maybe not the right direction you want to take. So maybe take this one. And then it's up to them whether they take it or they go down a harder path, right? So that is what you need to think about. And that is why God doesn't open up the plan for you to see at the very beginning, because sometimes it can be overwhelming. Sometimes the hard steps that you see you have to take, you don't want to have to take. So you're going to try to find a different way to take that, or an easy path, or a way to, make it simple. I'm trying to think of what I talked about earlier when we were talking about haste and shortcuts. That's what I'm trying to think about. So that's what we want to try to do. If we could see the whole overall picture and the steps that we are going to have to take to go through, some of them are going to be hard and we're going to want to find shortcuts. We're going to want to do it quickly and get through that and find a way to not have to go through the hard, right? But like I said at the beginning, going through the hard and creating a plan so that you do go through that hard is where prosperity comes from. So that is why it's so important to take action, to move your needle forward right here, right now with the next right step, instead of focused on the step 10 steps down the line. Focused on step number 1 so that you can reach step number 2. It's kind of like video games, right? Where you go from one level to the next and it gets harder and harder and harder. But as it gets harder, you learn, you adapt, you figure out how to get through it. So it may be harder, but it's easier because of the last step you took. And so that is what I really want you to get from today, is that planning is your best friend, especially on one income. It's going to help you stick to your budget, reach your financial goals, but it's going to do so much more in life than just help you financially and managing your finances, right? So I really pray that today's episode has opened your eyes to how important planning is and how planning gets you to prosperity, and going through the hard stuff is how you are going to actually reach that prosperity and be able to thrive in it. Rather than when you try to quickly get to that prosperity level, you can't sustain yourself because you are so overwhelmed with the new things that you have to learn, with the things that are going on and trying to figure out everything, that you get overwhelmed, you get burnt out, and you quit. And that prosperity was probably something really good. Maybe it's a financial prosperity. Maybe it's not a financial prosperity. But whatever it is, if you are not mentally and physically ready for that, you are not going to be able to achieve and sustain that prosperity in a way that is peaceful, in a way that keeps you from being overwhelmed and living in the burnout and giving up, right? So, okay, I know I could keep going down that, and I really do enjoy talking about this. So if you want to talk more on this, I would love to chat with you. Shoot me an email and let's talk it over. I would love to just continue talking on this. Okay, but I'm going to change the subject and say that I really hope that today's episode has really just opened your eyes to how important planning is, and that it gets you success in life, not just in your finances, but as a whole in life, because it is so important. And God wants prosperity for you, but it does take the hard work to get to that prosperity and to be able to sustain it. So with that being said, I do want to, again, invite you to grab a budget coaching session if this is something that you would love to learn more about, really, is how to start planning and how to create like the different levels of planning, because you have like your overall budget plan. Then you can get down into the nitty gritty of how you're going to maybe cut some costs, right? And where it's going to be cut from and the categories. And that is what I'm going to help you with. To book that call, all you have to do is go to calendly.com/Molly Bunnell and see if this is what you have been looking for. Again, that's calendly.com/Molly Bunnell. That's calendly.com/Molly with a Y, B as in boy, ENELL. And I pray that you have a great rest of your week, and I will see you right back here next week on another episode of the One Income Family Podcast. Before you go, I hope this episode has ignited a fire inside of you, and I pray that it creates long-lasting impact. Did you know that you too can impact other one-income families? All you have to do is leave a written review, and you help get the podcast in the hands of other mamas in need. You can also text this episode to that friend who is also knee-deep in the same kind of chaos as you and inspire them to make a change. Also, your review lets me know that you're enjoying the show, and that lights me up. I get so excited to hear from you. Another great way that we can connect, though, is through the One Income Family community over on Facebook. So after you're done leaving that 5-star review, head on over to the community where you will find other mamas working their way out of the chaos. You can ask your questions and connect with others who truly understand what you are going through. I cannot wait to connect with you in the community. Until then, I will see you right here next week on another episode of the One Income Family Podcast.